Hello, Internet. Welcome to our Cataclysm Let's Play series. In the last episode, we did some looting. We did secure ourselves a copper spear, which is a nice improvement and will allow us to kite enemies. But we also saw some triffids, which are a point of concern. We might go poke them with our pointy new stick and see how tough they are. I haven't seen them in a long time, so hey, maybe we'll die from that. Who knows? So in the last episode, I talked very vaguely about some physical issue that I'm having. I felt like I haven't watched it in editing. I'm recording this literally like 5 minutes after I ended the last one, but I feel like because I was so vague, people might be overly concerned. So I just want to touch on that really briefly as well. It can be a very serious issue. Again, being very vague about it, but most likely it's not. Like I mentioned that my friend's father died when he was a teenager from this exact thing. But that is a very outside possibility. That's not something that is very likely to happen. I don't want people to think like I'm dying. I'm not. Most likely it's going to be totally fine. It's just that it is, I haven't really had surgery before. And that too, like, probably I shouldn't have mentioned surgery because it's like a super mild surgery. It's not like, I don't even think you go under for it. I think it's just something that would be under local. So like, I just feel like once I talked about it in hindsight, I was smoking a cigarette and I was like, oh man, people are going to be super concerned about this. And I was so vague that they're not going to know really what's going on. So for the record, most likely going to be fine. It's just that I've never really had this addressed and I am concerned and it is kind of scary. Never had surgery before and I don't know any other way this could be addressed. So I'm just a little concerned. I shouldn't even have talked about it. What I should have done is waited until I was about to have the surgery, be like, hey everybody, I have a minor surgery today. I'll let you know how it goes. I should have just done that. I shouldn't even have talked about it. So let's never speak of this again until it actually materializes. So yeah, and sorry about that, because like what happens a lot with YouTube is that I start recording and I'm usually going through something because life is terrible and constantly horrible. So it is the thing that's mainly on my mind, and then I start talking about it, and then I realize I shouldn't even have talked about it. So that does happen a lot. I'm sorry about that. I know that's not great content, but it is what it is. So this Triffid's nearly dead from zombies. So let's polish this off. I'm just curious, if we kill it in one hit, it's not going to tell us very much about how much HP they have or whatever. Okay, we hit it for 11 with our spear. 11 means it's probably not very armored, because if it was armored, it would be significantly less damage. Okay, so you don't seem that scary. Do you give food when you die? I thought you did. Maybe if we butcher the corpse. But for now, let's pulp these zombies. I do believe we got messages in the last episode about them resurrecting. So we want to make sure that they don't get a chance to stand back up here. Because if they all died around the same time, it looks like they all were mostly already resurrected. But if they all died around the same time, they would resurrect at very similar timers. We did get a storm. This is actually not the nice storm. So the storm usually is the CX, what is it, CX4 storm. I think it's like a, is it 9 mil? It's 9 mil, I believe. And it's a pretty decent rifle in the game, and it does get a bonus to damage. So this is actually a different storm. This is a Beretta, so it's a handgun, also 9 millimeter. And damage is fine. We'll take that, of course. 9 mil is not the best ammo in the world, but it's not terrible either. Tempted to take this duster, but it's cotton, so I don't think that that's really worth it. And we'll have a look at these other corpses. So yes, I apologize. I get overwhelmed very easily in my personal life. I really don't handle... It's a product of, I don't know, is it even mental illness exactly? I don't know what to call it, but I tend to... Everything that happens to me always seems like it's so terrible, like a black hole of just swallowing up my life. And so I get very easily overwhelmed by things, and then I don't know how to handle them because I'm not really very much of an adult, and I spiral. And one of the ways that I cope with my situations is that, I don't have a lot of stress relievers in my life. One of the ways that I do that is by talking on YouTube. When I started this channel, like, yes, do I want to make money eventually? Absolutely. but I don't approach it like a business. I've always approached it like kind of like a sounding board. I mostly make these videos so I can talk to myself. It really is what it comes down to. So we did get food here. We got butchery refuse, which I think is a bit odd because I don't think that these things are traditionally like meat. So I would expect it to not really have refuse. I thought they were like almost exclusively plant, but and this is, you know, I believe technically meat. It says it's flesh, so it qualifies as meat. Like if you had a meat intolerance, it would conflict with that. But I mean, I guess if they have claws or something, maybe it's like maybe it has a beak or some weird thing. I don't know. But we did get plant marrow, which is food, albeit very light on the calories. I don't know if we can cook that or something, but we'll take it. I don't know what you do with a fibrous stalk exactly. I don't think we need that. And it gave us a branch, which is pretty funny. It also gave us this sack of paralytic venom, which is interesting that I don't think I've seen before. This grayish, flexible vesicle is filled to the brim with a potent paralytic agent that the triffids use to subdue still-moving fertilizer such as yourself. So that's interesting because that implies that the triffid could paralyze us, which I didn't know they had that ability. That's pretty scary. If you know your way around the poisons, you might be able to find a use for it. Huh. That's interesting, but it appears to be food, so I'm guessing it rots, which makes sense because it's an organic sac from a creature. That's pretty interesting. I don't know what to do with that. Have we looted this house? I think we did. I kind of remember seeing a 3-tile stack of medications, but let's have a quick look. I guess we should take the multivitamins, right? So anyway, internet, I apologize for being who I am. I'm always embarrassed. I'm always making a fool of myself. And yeah, I don't know. I just get overwhelmed by things and then want to talk about them. I don't have a lot of people to talk about. I discovered the advancing of my physical symptoms after I had last spoken to my shrink. So I haven't had an opportunity to talk to my therapist about it, which surely will come up next time we meet. Although, actually, now that I think about it, our next appointment is not until the end of the month, like literally one of the last days of the month. And it's only, it's like the 5th, I think, as I record this. So by the time I even talk to her, it probably will already have resolved itself, which is something that's coming up more and more with my therapy. I feel like I'm not, I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm going through stuff right now, but I feel like I'm not getting enough attention and that I should be seeing them more than I am. You know, obviously when things are bad, you lean on the things you have to kind of resolve that. Therapy is one of my only ways of dealing with stress. It's very difficult to talk to my family members. One of my family members has had similar issues in the past, and we did talk about that today. But for the most part, you know, I don't really have people to lean on. And then this is where everyone in the comments section will say, "Hey, if you ever want to talk, hit me up." But I don't lean on strangers. It's more like something to be addressed in therapy or. You know, this would be a situation where if I had a partner of some sort, you know, girlfriend, whatever, wife, whatever, but I don't have those things. So for the most part, it's just me and therapy. Huge proponent of therapy, not bad mouthing it in any way. Highly recommend most people to get therapy, just because most of us need it, whether we realize it or not. Really not much up here. There is a safe, but we are not equipped to deal with it. I don't think going in the basement is worth it. The cockroaches are just so annoying. So we'll just leave. And we did only see 2 Triffid-related creatures, so I don't know. Usually when you see them, there's a big group of them. Is that this? It is. So what that means is that they're going to be permeating kind of out into the city here. So once again, I feel like we need to move. Because we're just going to get killed, I think, if we stick around here for too long. So I do think at some point in the future we need to be looking into moving, which might mean we might need to do some vehicle work and get our vehicle in a position where we can accommodate. Okay, mouse cursor, stop with the scrolling. Oh my God. So apparently... Okay, I don't understand. It wasn't off screen, so I don't know why it was scrolling like that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. let's stop talking about things. Okay, so I do think we need to fix our vehicle at some point and get enough space so that we can pack up all of our goodies to take with us. So that might be something we need to focus our energy on in the near future. I am getting more and more frustrated with Cataclysm to where it seems like no matter where I go, like our last series was like this as well. No matter where I go, it seems like there's always a bunch of parks or some, big group of enemies somewhere that prevents me from settling into town. And I get it, it's the zombie apocalypse, it's going to be like that. But it does make playing the game really tedious when you feel like you constantly have to move your base. It's very hard lately for me to just settle down in a location. We will take the bondage suit because it's a large garment with a lot of leather. I would like that wood saw. Why can't I? Because it's 18 inches. So it's a huge saw. A thin saw useful for cutting objects. 18 inches. It's pretty big. I mean, I guess it's not really actually that big, but it's too big for our backpack, I guess. And I can't drop my spear. Okay. I don't know if we have a wood saw. I would really like a wood saw. Let's drop our stuff. I don't know. That wouldn't have an impact on whether we can carry it or not. But let's drop our stuff. I guess we'll go back and drop our... We'll you know what? We should have hauled it back. Okay, deselect, please. Why can't I deselect? You can't deselect an entire category. Okay. Sure. Drop this, drop this. That should be good. We'll keep the Beretta, I guess. No, we have a rifle on us. We really don't need to. We'll drop these manually. That way we don't drop our bandages. And then we will favorite our bandages so that we don't lose them in the future. We'll head back. We'll haul that wood saw back to base, I think. Debating killing this big mold. Looks like a big old drop of liquid metal over there. For now, though, let's go grab a wood saw. But anyway, so content might be a little light moving forward. I'm sure. I don't know if I ever actually said that out loud or not, but just trying to do some other stuff, trying to take care of myself a little bit more. My therapist really harped on me about spending too much time on this kind of stuff instead of focusing on my own mental health and well-being. So I am trying to do a little bit less when it comes to YouTube. And just work in general. I do kind of have a side hustle going at the moment, something I'm working on. And I've been writing some scripts in my off time and securing video game footage and stuff that, I'm going to use eventually. And I don't know, just trying to take a little more time to just exist, and relax and whatnot. Let's get a question. We haven't gotten a question in a while. Click. How much of your body would you cybernetically enhance if you could? All of it. I want to be a robot. I don't know. How much of your body would you cybernetically enhance? I don't know. I guess it would be difficult for me to make a decision to cut off healthy body parts. So so I played Cyberpunk a little bit. Didn't really speak to me. I couldn't really get into it. But I've played other games. Obviously I'm a fan of Deus Ex, one of the best games ever made. I'm a fan of Bionics in general. Obviously Cataclysm is Bionics. I like them conceptually, but the idea of killing off healthy tissue to replace it with a cybernetic body part really bothers me. So could I get a cybernetically enhanced arm? Sure. Oh, the shady zombie looks cool in Altica. I like that a lot. Pretty cool. Haven't seen one of them in a while. What are you? Decayed zombies? So I'm guessing there was a Triffid. Yeah. It's dead. Can sealer instructions. And there's a lot of headless over there, so we should actually be pretty safe pressing up. The main concern here is... I hear a bat in the wall. The main concern here is that soldier zombie that's around here somewhere. Zombie soldier. Far to the north. So we might be able to ignore him and go over there. Because those zombies should all be pushovers. I don't know what the vision radius is on the soldier zombie, but we should be able to slip over there, I think. So let's do that. The shady is also pretty blind in the daylight. Okay, we're seeing a ton of messages. Oh, that's where. Okay. So to our east is an enormous horde. Oh no, that's up there. This is a park? This is a park, I guess. Probably is where these zombies came from. Of course it is. Every time, internet, every time I go anywhere, it's just a park or a graveyard or a ruined tower blocking my progression. So we're not going to go over there. Okay. I mean, it's just it. Okay. Anyway, yeah. So like, oh, could I get like a super cool, futuristic mechanical arm that could lift 1,000 pounds and have a bladed claw and a laser and like, could you get all that cool crap? Sure. But if it required cutting off my still perfectly functional arm, I would have a hard time negotiating that mentally of destroying healthy tissue for no reason. Like that's my take on cosmetic surgery. In fact, is usually like, yeah, okay, you can get this cosmetic surgery and fix your nose, quote unquote, fix your nose. But you're also destroying and removing healthy tissue and bone structure and stuff. And it just is like, it kind of rubs me the wrong way. It kind of feels like it feels wrong on some level. I don't know why. It kind of feels almost immoral to do that. And for the record, if you've had cosmetic surgery, I'm not disparaging you. You do whatever you need to in order to feel comfortable in your own body, that sort of thing. But when it comes to surgeries that change your physical body that is otherwise perfectly functional, and like, I've seen people, I used to watch like surgery TV shows and stuff where like, what was that show called? I think it was called Botched. They would do like a nose job in every episode. And like some people have like collapsed nostrils, and like I personally, I have a lot of scar tissue in my right nostril, which makes it really hard to breathe. So like down the road, I could see myself getting a small surgery to like fix the structure of my nose. Like my nostril is partially collapsed. I have a lot of scar tissue in there. So for me, it would be like, well, this will improve the quality of my life, make breathing easier. I won't always have like if I touch my nose and bend it the wrong way, it hurts a lot because I can feel like where the scar tissue is rough against my other flesh and stuff. So like I think in that situation, I think it's fine. But when you go in and you're like, yeah, I don't like my nose because I'm ugly. I'm like, you're basically saying I'm gonna cut up my body because I don't like the appearance of my body. And that has always kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But each person makes their own decisions. I'm not trying to tell anyone how to live their life. If that's something, if you want a boob job or a nose job, you go right ahead. If that's what it takes for you to feel comfortable in your skin. Same thing with like, obviously trans people, when they have their surgery, it's not because of unhealthy tissue. It's because of, the gender reassignment. It's destroying health, and maybe not destroying healthy tissue, but it's changing your natural body, even though there's not something physically wrong per se with that body part. So like obviously in that situation as well, it's more about being who you are and matching your identity, things like that. It's not about like, it's not for funsies. It's not a cosmetic surgery per se. It obviously changes you physically in a significant way. So I think in those situations, each person does make their own decisions. I'm not trying to disparage anyone who does those things, but it would not be right for me. And so when I hear cybernetically replacing my body, I'm like, yeah, I could become like a robot, more or less. I could have like a fully functional robot mech body is plausible in the future at some point. I'm thinking of Rifts, which was a tabletop RPG. I don't know where that zombie was, so I'm a little concerned. Rifts was a tabletop RPG which had like full body conversions into like mechs, kind of. And that kind of stuff, it just always rubbed me the wrong way. The idea of taking otherwise healthy tissue and changing it just because I could be, robot instead. I don't like that so much. So I don't know that I would get much done. I have bad eyes. I mean, I have lots of body parts, but my vision is not great. So if you said, hey, I have these cybernetic eyes that will give you, perfect vision as well as other functionality, like maybe you can see in the dark or something like that, or maybe not even see in the dark, but it amplifies ambient light, so like you can see a little bit better at night. I would maybe do that, because I do have eyes that are not very good. But if you said, hey, I'm going to give you a hand replacement where you can have like, I mean, what do we have in like surgical scalpels, like in Cataclysm, I would be like, nah, I'm good. I don't really see a huge point to having knife fingers or laser fingers or whatever weird thing they want to do. My hands work perfectly fine. No, thank you. So, yeah. But in the future, like I have some back problems and some knee problems. If those things snowballed and someone was like, hey, I can give you like a perfectly functional new knee, I'd be like, yeah, I'm down. Why not? I want to be a transformer. Sounds great. So yeah, I don't know that I would change very much. And then if you're talking like in the future, like full body replacement so you can kind of be immortal or whatever, I don't like being alive that much, to be honest. So I don't know that I would do that. Like, oh, hey, we can transfer your brain into the body of a robot so you can keep on living even after your organs start failing, or you can upload your consciousness. I would probably upload my consciousness, but that is, you still die. Like people think like, oh, if I upload my consciousness, I'm immortal. Kind of. Like your consciousness is immortal at that point, unless someone unplugs the wrong thing or whatever. But you're not really your consciousness. You exist in your organic brain, and if you were to remove that from the equation by uploading your consciousness as a digital form of some sort, you are still going to die, but your consciousness will perceive it as itself leaving your body and continuing to live. But in reality, it was born at the point it was uploaded, and you're still going to die. Like you're two separate individuals at that point. You're not really becoming immortal per se. I did read a book where they talked about in the future it could be theoretically possible to replace your brain one atom at a time. So for instance, let's say I have a robot body next to me, and we're going to upload my consciousness to the robot body. So like atom by atom, if you could break down your brain piece by piece while keeping it linked to another brain that it's constructing inside of the robot. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but like, if we could do it on such a precise chemical level that kept you connected the whole time, it would be an easy transition. And then that raises the question of whether or not you're still dying as you upload your consciousness, or if you're truly being transferred because it's like an organic, like literally your brain is being converted one piece at a time. I don't know how to describe it. It was a really interesting book. I can't remember what the name of the book was either, but it was fascinating. I just don't think, I don't think that stuff is for me, really. And certainly I don't really think that's in my lifetime. I do think, there are already people who are working on uploading consciousnesses and making copies of people, so to speak, digitally. But it's really not where it needs to be for that to be perfect. I don't remember if there was anything. Oh, there was stuff in this basement I wanted. So we're going to continue picking up a lot of these tailoring scraps here. I don't know. It's interesting stuff. I'm a layman, so I can't really do it justice by talking about these things. I know that I probably sound like an idiot talking about something he doesn't understand, which is 100% correct. I do not understand, and I don't know. I'm not technically minded. I don't know the logistics of these things. I just go based off of science fiction and random books that I read about the future of humanity, that kind of stuff. So I don't, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I can't even think of any bionics that I would like be really interested in. Replacement eyes is probably like the main thing that I would accept. And then joint replacements in the future if they become like cybernetic as opposed to like just like currently, like I had a great grandmother who had a full on hip replacement thing, and it's not cybernetic, right? It's just like physical. It's just pieces, right, that help you function and are hip replacements. It's not the same thing as having like a bionic hip, right? So I don't know. I can't think of anything in Cataclysm that's like realistic, but also something I would want. So like we have a lot of like really cool CBMs like quantum tunneling and all that, but that's not really a realistic thing that's ever going to happen. So I don't see, I'm not going to count that as something I would get. Obviously, if I had the ability to go through walls, that's pretty cool, but it doesn't really seem feasible in reality. So I don't think that counts. And then most of the ones that we do have that are really like actually plausible, I just don't see a huge point to them. Like, I don't know, like the flashlight CBM. It's literally just an LED between your eyes, like that's just in your forehead. I don't think that that's something I would get done because why would I, right? It's just a little LED in your forehead. That's not that interesting. So I don't know. Most of the practical ones, I mean, I guess maybe in the future, I don't know, maybe 40 years from now, people will get them like for no reason other than because they can, right? But in my mind, it has to have a utility. There has to be a purpose to it. Otherwise, I'm not going to get it done. Maybe in the future, people get LED tattoos. Maybe that's something that happens. Technically, that would be, cybernetic, right? It would be an electronic component in your body, which I think is the definition of a bionic. Maybe that's a thing that's going to happen in the future. Maybe that's, 40, 50 years from now, young people will get fancy glow in the dark tattoos. I don't know. Maybe it will become a thing to replace your hands and your arms and things like that. Like that's what was interesting to me about Cyberpunk. Not that like people, not that there were cybernetics, but the fact that basically everyone had them. I thought that was interesting. Like you could just walk down the street and see people with all these really significant bionic changes to their bodies, and it was so common. Like it was boring even. It wasn't even like a point of being excited about. It was something that's like, oh, this person has serious cybernetic changes to their body. It's not even noteworthy because it's so common, right? If that even makes sense. So I thought that was interesting. I forget if these rat corpses butcher for meat or not, but we're gonna have a look here. If it's I don't know if it's mutant meat or not. Oh, you're pretty far up there. I think we're okay. Let's move it closer to the building so it can't see us. I think here is fine, and we'll butcher here. Scraps of meat. Okay, so they do butcher for normal meat, but unfortunately it's just scraps. Which makes sense. Rats are just not that big, really. Who will take those back? We'll cook a little rat meat for dinner, I think. Why don't we pop in and loot the rest of this? Oh, we did loot the kitchen. Sorry, I was looking at this thinking I could get into the kitchen. But no. Let's go in and loot the rest of it anyway. We can just go around here. Check out the food. Cabbage, celery, sure. Lemons, sauerkraut. Man, sauerkraut in Cataclysm is way more common than it is in real life. I love sauerkraut, and every time I talk about it, people are like, oh, it's the most disgusting thing I've ever heard. And we do find sauerkraut in almost every kitchen in Cataclysm, which is just not realistic. I actually complained about the food layout in my most recent Experimental Cataclysm series because I do think it's a little too samey. I do think they need more diversity. I like that condiments are basically in every fridge in the game, which is because they exist in basically everyone's fridge in the real world. But also, we have too much cheese, yogurt, and milk. They're just too common. They are literally in every fridge, basically. And I do think we need more diversity there. Not everyone does drink milk. Something like 25% of the population is lactose intolerant. They wouldn't have a gallon of milk sitting in their household. And most households, I would guess, don't go through a gallon of milk before it goes bad unless you have a large-ish family, which I think we actually talked about in an episode recently, so let's not rehash that. But yeah, I think fridges should be more dynamic. I think they need more variance in what they spawn. Drowsy cough syrup, okay. Oh, check the bedroom here. Anyway, I didn't mean to ramble about Bionics. I know I don't know what I'm talking about. I know that I say things that are sometimes out of my pay grade. Like I don't know about slowly making your brain into a robot, basically, or into a digital program. I don't know anything about that. It's just something I heard in a book once and thought was pretty interesting, because it's conceivable that that is a plausible thing that could happen in the future of humans, although obviously is something that's very far away and probably incredibly difficult and complicated and for people way smarter than me to figure out. But anyway, I think we'll head back to base. I do think this will be my last episode of the day. I only recorded 2, but again, trying to take more time for myself. I don't know. We might pivot back to every other day for content if I'm able to do that. Or we might just not at all. We might just upload whenever I get a chance to, which I know is not ideal. Like I said, being consistent is really important on YouTube. You really have to show people that they can rely on you. I don't know, but you all seem to like me plenty well, so I'm not too concerned about people getting mad and leaving. And honestly, if that's something you're going to get mad and leave about, it's probably better if you just leave, because I'm going to let you down in the future. So I think we'll call the episode here. Everyone, thank you for watching. Yeah, and I'll be back with more Cataclysm in the near future. But for now, that's it. See you in the next episode.